I think the people that hate Richard Heart are going to continue to hate, but I think that number is slowly diminishing in size over time.
Let's head over to this Highest of Stakes documentary. So we are finally getting a release. I don't know how many people thought that it was going to be in theaters. I've never heard of Regal Theaters, but they exist. And yeah, it's going to be at a selection of theaters. If you want to pull up whenever you can, Ewok, share your screen and just do the dates we have so far, whatever you would like to pull up there. But yeah, so we've got it starting on Friday, August the 4th. It's also showing, I believe, at some theaters the next night on Saturday the 5th. And I know if you follow the Highest of Stakes guys on Twitter, they're efforting to do even more. And we can kind of segue also into your experiencing all these people bitch about this news, actually, Ewok. but yeah, inevitably, it's not at a city near some people. Obviously, people overseas are upset that they're unable to see it, all that kind of stuff. But hey, it's coming out, and we assume it will be on some kind of a platform, I would think, shortly thereafter. I've long been an advocate of it just going on YouTube, because you're probably going to get the most views on there anyway and still make a decent amount of money, I would think. So but yeah, first off, what do you make of the announcement about it actually being in theaters? There's a lot of angles to this that I want to ask you about, but what do you think about the overall announcement? We knew we were getting a new trailer, which is about 3 minutes long. I'll ask you about that too, but didn't know this was coming shortly after. So what do you make of all this?
So there's several steps. We have to remember these guys have won 5 Emmys. Okay. So they know what they're doing. These people that are complaining that why is it only in the United States whenever we've got people all over the world? Well, again, they know what they're doing. It's going to be released in stages. The first step is theater. It's a theatrical release. I think they're basing it upon how many tickets are sold. Everything like that will all then depend on probably some bargaining power with the streaming platforms. So that would be the next step. And if you can't, if you're upset about it, buy one of the copies of the DVD and have your own party and charge people for that. There you go. So that's your solution if you can't get to one of these release parties on the date. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm gonna trust these guys as professionals, and hope that they know what they're doing. You've got all these big cities. Some of them are sold out already. We go down through them. You got Miami, Chicago, Dublin, California, New York, Vegas, DC.
Vegas is sold out, I think, because I saw Dollar Cost Crypto and Charlie bought out the whole theater because they're having like a party anyway that day. So they bought out the whole theater. Yeah.
So you got DC, Dayton, Ohio, which seems a weird one. Denver. Well, I mean, you got Dayton.
Dayton, yeah, it's a random city.
It's just random. That's all. You got some of these big cities. I think Dublin is near RG. I think maybe that's why that's there.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you got LA, Marlboro, which is right outside of Boston, I believe. Corona, Austin, Portland, Atlanta, Houston, Salt Lake City, New Brunswick. So some of these are new. Some of these were not here yet.
Yeah, I was going to say that list wasn't that long yesterday.
Right. Yeah. So San Diego, Orlando, Tampa, Charlotte, Dallas, Jacksonville, Nashville, Philly, Phoenix, San Francisco, and Seattle. And I did hear, like I said, that some of them are sold out already. People went in and just bought all the tickets and are having parties. I know it's August 4th and 5th. So the 4th is a Friday. Some of these locations are only doing Friday, but then if it sells out Friday, then they'll add Saturday. Some of them already have the Friday and Saturday scheduled as well. But yeah. So back to what I was saying. I'm going to trust that they know what they're doing. Release this in the theaters. If it sells out, and even if it doesn't, I would recommend trying to pick one near you and just buy a ticket if you want. Support it, whether you can go or not, and try to find somebody in that area that you can talk into, here, hey, I'm going to send you this ticket. Could you go? Kind of thing. If you have friends in some of these areas, I recommend doing it. It's going to be, I think, a really good tool, because from what I'm told, this is not just a Richard Heart puff piece at all.
Well, you can tell by the trailers. I
Right.
mean, it's not.
It really makes you think. It really gives you more than one option of just saying, this is the best thing in the world, go buy it. It really opens your eyes. And I think the people that hate Richard Heart are going to continue to hate, but I think that number is slowly diminishing in size over time. The people that just hate them, and they're not going to change. Those aren't the people that we need to focus on. It's the ones that have an open mind that can at least go watch it and make their own decision, because they're going to be given a lot of information, probably that they hadn't heard before, or different angles. So yeah, I think it's a great tool. And then once this release happens, if we do sell out a lot of places and they do have to add more dates, again, I think it's going to be great bargaining power with streaming companies to settle on a price or a bigger platform or whatever it may be, and be like, look, here's our launch, and this is what we did in the theater, and we only did it for a couple of days. That's why I'm saying, if we can even get people to buy some tickets that are available, and even if you can't go, it will help down the long run with the platform that we can get on and get in front of more and more people. So just
it's definitely a net positive, obviously. Yeah. And I like that they're releasing it this way. I think it'll be good. And more importantly, so this is the thing I really wanted to get to. What do you think about the timing of this Ewok? Now, I don't know what the holdups were, obviously, from when it was finished, because it's been pretty much done for quite a while. And the narrative was basically, what, Netflix won't pick it up, Amazon, whatever. I don't even know. There's too many goddamn apps for me to remember anymore. But all these different apps won't pick it up. Oh, is it a huge fail? Whatever. I don't know what was all going on behind the scenes, but either way, it's here now. I want to ask you this, because I think it's definitely a good thing that this thing is coming out after PulseChain has already been released. I am much happier, and that's only been, we're actually at about 2 months on the day, so about 60 days into PulseChain. I'd much rather have this thing out right now when PulseChain is already out, because crypto's been dead for months now. So now it's getting
a year.
Mildly, yeah. I guess I just meant, like, I'm trying to think of when the documentary was done filming, but it's we have, again, we talked about the ETFs and everything. People are coming back into this market now, and this coincides with PulseChain launching. I think this is really good because of the additional eyes you're going to get on HEX and everything. Inevitably, they're going to see what PulseChain is too. Maybe they follow Richard on Twitter and they're like, "What's all this shit he's talking about? PulseChain? What is this?" I mean, I'd much rather that, as much as everybody clamored for this to be out earlier, much like PulseChain itself, why do you want it out when everything's dying around you in this industry? I would much rather have it out. The average person who may see that this is even in their local theater would be like, what the hell are people talking about crypto for? Didn't Bitcoin die again? Or what did that Fro guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, do or whatever? So yeah, you want it when the market's coming back. I love that this is out now that PulseChain is out. So what do you make of this specific timing here?
I like it. In fact, they actually changed the ending from when it was originally filmed to now, because of the PulseChain release, and things have changed that much since they wrapped it up the first time. I do like it. I like the timing of it a lot. Now that people have a product that they can actually get into, pretty much still at the ground floor. 2 months old. It's it'll be 3 months old by the time this thing launches. That's about as bottom as you're going to get for somebody new saying, "Hey, check this out. This is pretty cool." Another thing too is, I find it funny that it did, because of this release, and it's just one more thing that people said would never happen. The first thing it was Richard was going to rug pull the HEX. It was he was just going to rug pull it after so long, and that didn't happen. And then the next thing we're talking about PulseChain, and they're like, oh, he's never going to release it. And then it released. And then, the movie, it's never going to come out. And here we are. So, it's just chalk another one up for us and the haters. They can keep hating, or they're going to have to come around eventually. I think Bitcoin faced some of these in the early days. There were that many haters that kept calling it a scam years and years and years, until they finally gave up. And I think we're getting closer to that point. Yeah, well, whether they bought it or not, they stopped calling it a scam, at least. And I think we're getting closer to that point finally, with the Hex ecosystem, and following through with the things that people say they're going to do. And they realize that, hey, these guys really are doing what they say they're doing. So, it's just, I think it's bullish all around, and the timing, I don't think, could be better. It goes right into that bull market, I think, perfectly.
Yeah, and yes, good point too. I mean, that people will still be able to get PulseChain stuff at bottom of the barrel prices, basically. And talking about like the credibility to the greater crypto market. I mean, having an L1 now and having it go through a full cycle doing really, really well. People love these L1s and DEXs and stuff like that. So seeing something like that as opposed to Hex, which everybody thinks is a scam because of the mechanics of it, and they see the 38% APY and all that stuff. Having this stuff, I think, in addition this cycle is going to just like tenfold that, the credibility for some of those mainstream crypto people.